Well, Bitcoin hit our target of $65,000 on Friday before the market closed last week. And as a result, all weekend, the crypto universe has been calling for the end of the bull market. So in today's video, the first thing we're going to do is get a grip. And then the second thing we're going to do is actually explore the possibility of that. And if it turns out that that's what it's going to be, then we're going to build a plan around it. So first up, sorry for the casual attire and the wet hair. I am spending the weekend away by the beach in Dubai. It is gorgeous weather here right now. And I'm about to go get a facial, so I didn't want to put makeup on for this video, but I still need to get the information out there for you guys. So who cares what I look like? It's not important. What's important is what is happening with the Bitcoin price. So sit back and relax. No matter what the price of Bitcoin, we know that it's the world's best investment. And for the short term, whether the price goes up or it goes down, we can always short-term trade it to accumulate our long-term wealth. So smash that like button and we're going to get right into this video. As always, being the beginning of the week, we want to zoom out and get a big picture view of what is going on. So we're going to start on the daily time frame. And one thing I do want to note about the daily time frame is that price did come down into our area of interest that we've been talking about on this channel, which was the target range for any potential drop. Now, that doesn't mean it's over. That was just the area that we would have expected it to settle at on its first level drop to the downside. And so we basically got that target. And this is where we now need to build a new plan, where we decide, is it going to bounce from here or do we have further level drops to come? So let's talk about the pros and cons of the current price on the daily time frame. The pro at this point in time is that it's come back into the range and it's created at this point a higher low that is around the 50% area of the range. That is still technically bullish. The con is that we broke down below the 50 EMA, but then also a pro, we didn't break that with volume. So if this was going to be a daily time frame M formation, then we would have liked to have seen the volume break of that 50 EMA with like a vector candle, a red or a magenta color candle. We didn't get that. We just got a dip below it, and there's a good chance the price will recover back above it this week. So right now, according to the daily time frame, we have to remain rather neutral. We're waiting for more information. The information that I would want to see is a bullish candle close outside of this area. If we get that and we remain above the halfway zone, which is at about 65,190, and then we can also get a bullish candle close back above the 50, we may be okay and we may bounce from there. Even if we did bounce from there, I would still be skeptical, or cautious I should say is a better word, that it's only going to be a short-term bounce that will eventually create a lower high on the daily time frame. And if it does, then we will have more downside to come following that. Whatever happens this week, next week, whenever it is, if there is any move to the upside, I highly encourage you to continue zooming out every day to the daily time frame and see how the candles are looking there. Because just like back over here, these were our trap traders in these candles right here. You can see that in these two lower highs, price never returned there and those traders remained trapped until eventually they got liquidated. We could be in the process of the exact same thing happening, but now it looks more like this. So we've got this red vector candle right here, and that could be the left side of the M, right? So if price comes back now during this week, makes a move to the upside, but it cannot close above this red vector candle, then that will create the lower high, and we would expect that we're going to go down further next, which could be the target being the bottom of this green vector here. And, you know, let's just say even worse, then we get a little bit of another bounce, and then we get down into this liquidity zone, and that could end up being our 3-level drop on the daily time frame. So that is something that could potentially happen, and what would invalidate that idea would be that this bounce that we have right now, we move up above this zone here, and then we eventually get a higher low wherever that ends up being, and then that is where we would say, okay, we're probably going to break out of this range soon and bull market continues. So you really can't call it either way right now, but you need to have a plan for both, because what I would say say to you is that if we do push up into this trap trader zone and we do get a lower high close on the daily time frame, if you have any altcoins that are still in the red that you want to offload before further downside, that's going to be the best time to do it. So definitely keep an eye on that. This week could take us into next week. So any highs are still chances for you to get out of bad altcoins. I would not sell when they're already red unless you're in profit and it doesn't really matter. But if you're trying to reduce your losses on any altcoins that you have right now, then any lower highs that Bitcoin might create on the daily time frame is going to be your best chance to get out of them. Now, before I move on, let's just have a new look at the liquidity to see, if we're still in the same ranges. And I'm going to use high block for that. We'll use this heat map. Now I'm on the 1 month and we can see that these yellow zones, actually I'll zoom in. We can see that these yellow zones here are 72,100 to 73,600. That's still around about the same as what we had before. To the downside, we have 64,300 down to about 62.5, and yeah, even into the low 60s. But then we also have another pocket around here at around the 55K mark. So there is more liquidity to the downside. If they want to bring price down, it's available for them to do that. And if all of that were to happen, let's just say we had a false move to the upside, trap some traders long, we come down, we'll probably take this one out. That would qualify as the level 2 drop. Have another little short-term bounce, everyone turns bullish again. Then we get the third drop to the downside, take out all of this. That would wipe the board clean. That would be easy. Then the liquidity is gone, and that's where you would turn bullish from that point on, providing new liquidity doesn't build. But if that were to happen, then that would look like this. It would just take us back to the bottom of the range. So exactly what I drew out for you before. Come down, take out the first pocket, create another lower high, take out the next pocket, and then hopefully we would see a trend change from there, which essentially when you zoom out, is just price staying in the same halving accumulation range. The problem if this happens, however, is that your altcoins will really suffer. So whilst it's not that big a deal for Bitcoin, it's probably really going to hurt your altcoins. And that's why I want to keep the focus on trying to sell out of anything that is already red at every point that there is a lower high created on any type of relief bounce until the trend actually changes and we break out and start creating new highs. Now let's go down to the 4-hour time frame, because the 4-hour time frame is actually making me bullish, and I'm short-term bullish to be clear, but bullish nonetheless. And I'll explain to you why. I won't go over these levels. We've talked about them before. We talked about all of this previously. And what we can see on this side here is definitely 3 levels of drop, right? So we had the one through here, we had our consolidation board meeting, another drop, this was a false news event, and then we had 3 drops here within the one drop, and that is what took us to the target. The reason why I tell you that the 4 hours making me short-term bullish is because if you remember, if you were around, if this is your first time watching, by the way, welcome. I'm not normally this casual, but like I said, it's the weekend and I'm by the beach. If you are returning, then you may remember in my last video, I talked about this short-term move to the upside, and I actually gave the crypto bros a bit of a hard time. And now guys, I need to tell you something. You cannot encourage 𝗟𝗶𝗃𝗍 like that, because when you do, the worst comes out. Let's take a look at some of the comments on my last video. Many thanks. Love your sense of humor. Firing shots. I like that. Thanks again. Love the shade throwdown. And I'm going to explain to you why, but you can't encourage this because this isn't a good part of my personality. And yeah, stop that. So here's what I was talking about. In this little move here was where all of Twitter said, oh, we're bullish again. We caught the bottom. We nailed it. Blah, 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 because they longed here off the 4 hours support. But the problem was that 4 hours support came in right before a big news event. It turned out to be CPI, and that was also FOMC in there somewhere. The problem with that is it was a very obvious, clear run up into a news event to trap traders before a market reversal. And they did it off a typical retail technical analysis being a 4 hour level of support. So that is why I was like, congratulations, crypto bros who said that they nailed this move, when at the end of the day, we were overall bearish and I still maintained my target of between 64 to 65K. Now, whilst all of those crypto bros are currently calling up the Lambo rentals and canceling their orders, we understand price action, and let me show you what is happening on the 4 hour time frame that is making me feel temporarily bullish. And when I say temporary, meaning the false move this week, so we know the week opens with a false move, may be to the upside this week. Here's what it is. So as I explained to you, there was the 3 drops here, okay? And within this, 1, 2, 3 hits to the downside. Very typical of a market maker move. This here was where everybody went long and said that they nailed it, okay? Most likely did not take profit, because what confirmation was there to take profit? That was the most recent candle high. So if that was your target price, didn't even hit the target. So many people would have stayed in the longs. That's the part they don't tell you. They would have stayed in this long, and the price has come all the way back and liquidated or stopped them out. So this is what I mean here, why this is turning me bullish, because look at this. This all happened so fast that there is 2 scenarios here. So whilst the crypto bros are rejoicing at their long positions and not taking profit, at the same time, you got to understand the breakout traders philosophy. So breakout traders put in buy and sell stops just above and just below support and resistance, so that if price breaks the area, they believe it's just going to go on a massive move. So prior to all of this happening, right, whilst we were in this range, there would have been breakout traders that actually had sell stops below this support here, wherever their stop loss, maybe none, who knows, and who knows, we're targeting much lower prices. If those sell stops weren't removed, look at this very carefully. When price came back here, this candle stopped out these long traders who didn't take profit, potentially also liquidated them if they longed on super high leverage with no stop loss. At the same time, it would have triggered any pending sell stops to open short positions. And in doing that, it has trapped the traders into the weekend, because price has not gone anywhere since then. And this is what the weekend trap is. It's sideways consolidation, which we will see that more clearly on the 1 hour time frame. My point being, if the damage is done on this move here, which we now understand the damage is done now, liquidated or stopped out, so gone, who's trapped? Any pending orders here that got triggered on this stop hunt that broke just below the 4 hour support and then just closed back up above it, triggering short orders. So these ones are trapped currently. So if the breakout traders are currently trapped in their short positions throughout the whole weekend, still holding on, trying to convince themselves they're going to be right, then it makes sense that the market maker will move price to the upside, potentially as the false move week beginning, or if there are enough people trapped already. Because remember, the whole internet turned bearish at $64,000. Like, congratulations, Captain Obvious, but there would be a lot of people that entered there now believing we're going much, much lower. Maybe, but if we are, then there's a very big chance that we will go up before we go down, just like you saw here, up before we go down. That's usually what happens. So there is a good chance at the start of this week, at a minimum, maybe a move to the upside. When we have a look at the 1 hour time frame for Bitcoin, it looks like it's starting potentially to happen now. But look at this 1 hour time frame for Bitcoin. Again, we can clearly see our 3 level drops here. Okay, 3 high level candles, vector candles, yada yada, you know the deal. We can clearly identify the trapped traders, because where has price not returned to after creating a peak formation? What has happened? Who has been trapped over the weekend? We've got this here, which may have triggered more short orders. Exactly the same thing. If a breakout trader believed that this was the weekend support, they may have pending short orders below here. Only a little stop hunt like that would trigger those orders. They're now trapped, and we can see prices currently moving to the upside. Now, if this continues, you might be thinking, well, it's too late. The move's already happened. No, because if this move is going to be proven, it will create a higher low, and then we'll get continuation of the trend into the beginning of the week, okay? So don't stress that it's already moved out. As long as we get this retest of a 50 EMA or we create a higher low, you would expect trend continuation. The other thing too is they may run this up into the weekend to trigger more people long and then actually open the week bearish again. So it just depends where this moves. It's only just started, so I can't tell you where it's it's going, but you are looking left to see how many vector candles it recovers. So now that this has moved out of the weekend range, you're looking to see if it can recover these vector candles right here first. If it does, so if price gets above this range here at about 67,130, then you're just looking more left here as well. So you're looking for weakness at any of these unrecovered red vector candles. And if you get higher highs and higher lows on the way, then that's a trend, and that's a bullish trend for at least the beginning of the week. And so you can open long positions, but every single one of these red vector candles becomes your target where you reassess and look for weakness. And if you get that weakness, you'll need to do it on a smaller time frame, being the beginning of the week, being 15-minute ideally time frame, sometimes 5-minute. Then you see the weakness there. If it keeps pushing up and you happen to see weakness here or wherever it is, that will be your hint that the false move week beginning is in and the new trend for the week is potentially starting. Look for 50 EMA retests to get a good entry on a long position. If it holds as a nice kind of higher low area, run that up into the previous vector candles as your targets. Look at every single one when the price gets there on a smaller time frame to see if there's weakness, an M formation, a star formation candlestick, a bearish engulfing, something like that. If you get that weakness, that is your hint that that false move is over, bag flip short, and now we will expect those further drops that we were expecting on the higher time frame. And that is exactly what your sell into the highs on your altcoins is going to look like. Now, by the time this video comes out, even this right here could create the start of an M formation. Here's what it would look like. So if we don't get any higher than this candle right now, and we come back and by the time this video comes out, there's a lower high, then that's the false move that was designed to trap longs out of the weekend consolidation, and the week will start bearish. And so that would be your bearish case scenario. Higher highs and higher lows would be your bullish temporarily case scenario. But if it does create the higher highs and the higher lows, you're still looking for this exact same thing here at these vector candles. And if it goes higher than that, you're still looking for it here at these vector candles. So it's not about the price. It's about how the price moves. Now, one other thing, when I zoom out on the entire week for the week, just another kind of thing to add to my theory of why we might see some upside before any potential future downside, is because the whole week pretty much last week was a bearish week. And I actually cautioned our Discord about the potential of this happening. Longs may not come this week. With such deep levels, we may get a whole week down before any reversal is possible. So if you want the advance notice on things like that, think about coming into our Discord, learning this whole method in full for yourself. Empower yourself with the information to make these sorts of trade choices for yourself. All of our courses are fully structured, showing you this entire model from the beginning right to the end, everything that you need to know, just for a 1 monthly subscription fee. Also get to access to all of our private channels in our Discord, as well as live market updates from multiple traders on my team. So the link is in the description of this video if you're interested in checking that out. Also, whilst you're down there, be sure to check out some of the exchanges that we have listed below, because they get you pretty big trading fee discounts, which always helps. But in addition to that, those links down below will also get you access to our free side of our Discord, and there are some market updates that we do in there for the free members as well. I want to show you something on ETH, but I want to have a look at the liquidity on Bitcoin before we do that. So the maximum liquidity currently is at 14 billion. Again, if you happen to catch my last market update, I think it was at around 7 billion or maybe 9 billion. I can't remember exactly, but whatever that number was, I said to you that is something that we would usually see at a level 1, but not really a 2 or 3. So there was the chance of more downside to come to get us to that kind of level, and that's what we're seeing here. So now at a 14 billion, that's kind of typical of what you would see at a level 2. There is also a lot of liquidity to the upside now. Again, like I said to you, the whole internet turned bearish at 65,000, so better late than never, but here they are. And so therefore there is a bunch of liquidity that has been built up above price. This big spike right here is at 66,800, and I have a feeling that may have just been taken, has it? Yeah, so this may have just taken taken that big spike right there. And then there's a couple of other levels above. So 67, 655, 68, 120. And when we have a look on the chart, 68, 120 would take us up into these vector candles here. So yeah, just anything along the way. That would also be a 200 EMA kind of area. But anything along the way here, just look for weakness at any of these candle recoveries, because whilst the upside might turn into a bullish trend, it also may just be enticing people to turn bullish again before there is further downside. Now we can talk about Ethereum, because if the theory is proven right that we do see a little bit of upside before downside this week, then Ethereum is presenting a better opportunity. It spiked down into the long orders that we were waiting for at 3,400. So this also hit our target really quite beautifully. And all weekend it's consolidated at the low of the week. However, this here is a potential V bottom, and that candle there was a vector candle that crossed above the 50 EMA. So that would count as a rise level 1 after 1, 2, 3 level drop. Okay, so we're in the right area to be looking for a reversal. This here is consolidation / weekend trap. Now you don't always have to get a retracement between levels. You can get a consolidation that just continues to break out to the upside. So the last thing we want to look at is the open interest, and the open interest is rising nicely. So there may be enough commitment already that there doesn't need to be a false move. It's potentially possible. However, what I would be looking for is if this is going to break out and give us a level 2 rise from here, then I would be looking for a little stop hunt move that is a false move, ends with a wick, a hammer, something like that. Then we continue to the upside from there. If there is a false move on Ethereum outside of this consolidation and the false move is a spike to the downside, I would say that that is the final trap in the consolidation for the weekend. And that trap will trap short traders, which means the market will move up from there. That can absolutely also happen the other way. So if price breaks out of this consolidation to the upside and breaks the 200 EMA, then it's going to be similar to what I told you on Bitcoin, which is look left and look at all your vector candles. As price continues to recover all of them, look for weakness. And that could happen anytime throughout Monday, Tuesday. If you get that weakness, you bag flip and you change your bias. If you don't get it, you stay in your position.